Hi everyone! I'm pretty sure most of us have experienced that when on a diet, we often succumb to the temptation of ordering the largest meal available and then pretending that accompanying it with a sugar-free drink will make it a gourmet salad. Yes, we certainly are masters of the ultimate balancing act.
Oh my god, seriously, the number of times I've pulled that exact trick is off the charts. But hey, I've got a strategy for it. I call them my cheat days. I'm fully aware it's not the smartest move, but does that stop me? No. The temptation is like a siren song. No matter how much I try to logic my way out of it, I always find myself balancing between the right and wrong action. And somehow, I end up correcting one wrong with another wrong.
Welcome everyone, I'm Abhay.
I'm Etisha.
And I'm Bhavya.
We are extremely delighted to present to you another episode of Soul Vibes, where we will peel back the layers of two wrongs.
Don't make a right.
Nirankari.
Oh Rahul ji, you've arrived. Finally. What happened today? You late again? It's a nice surprise to see that Diwaji is accompanying you today.
Yeah, you know this peak time traffic? ऊपर से इतने सारे constructions. I don't know how to plan for all this.
No, Papa, that isn't right. You were busy watching your cricket matches instead of getting ready and leaving on time.
Shh, Diva, this was our secret. You don't tell this to everyone.
But Papa, why are you covering your mistake with a lie?
Divaji, that's an excellent point. You actually highlighted our topic again, that two wrongs don't make a right. Yet, regardless of knowing this, we still practice it so much that it becomes a habit.
Speaking of habits, Etisha ji, I want to confess mine. Many a times I get rid of my empty wrappers, cans and bottles where there is already an existing pile, regardless of the fact that I am aware it is not a rubbish bin or a designated spot.
I just realized, Papa, when you were asking about my marks yesterday, I was telling everyone else's instead. I did not study much and my score wasn't good enough. I was thinking if I highlighted others' low scores, it would make mine look better.
Then I'm not the only one making mistakes. We are all in this together.
Certainly, Rahulji, we can all relate to this. The number of strategies we use to hide our mistakes, regardless of how small, is actually quite fascinating. Knowing that this isn't right, we still are repeat offenders. We continue to justify our actions like so. We thrive on hiding our mistakes or making them look smaller by highlighting others' mistakes.
Absolutely. The reality is, my mistake is still what it was. Rather than contributing with a solution, I end up intensifying the original problem.
Rightly so, Bhavya ji. And that is exactly what Satguru Mata Sudiksha ji Maharaj is also teaching us, to be part of the solution and not the problem.
Surprisingly, even I have probably heard this numerous times, and like Etisha ji said, I am still one of those repeat offenders. I am afraid of accepting my mistakes and compromising my pride. I think it's my ego at its subtle best.
Yes, I also heard this in Discourses once, that wisdom is to keep your shortcomings and others' virtues at front, and your virtue and their shortcomings at your back. It will help us to stay humble and improve on our mistakes rather than being judgmental about others.
Very nice, Diva Beta. And listening to your thoughts reminds me of another common mistake I make, getting angry on small things and then responding it with an even harsher behavior. This is again mapping a wrong with another wrong one. Many a times at home or even at work, if someone has used some harsh words, I just can't let it go. I totally forget the golden words of Satguru that we should give benefit of the doubt.
And does it resolve the situation?
Absolutely not. Rather, it definitely makes things far worse. The matter which could have been resolved with a few seconds of silence, it just lingers on for ages.
Actually, Rahulji, this reminds me of a recent discourse in which Sadguru Mata Sudiksha ji Maharaj conveyed that when we speak, it should be polite and humble, not rude and harsh. Even if something important is to be conveyed, it should be conveyed politely, without hurting others. As Babaji has also written in the Hardev Vani, निरंकार ये मौन है कितना, हम भी कम बोला करें, तोले बिन रसना से अपनी कुछ ना हम बोला करें.
I know Etisha ji, even I want to do that. पर मैं क्या करूं? मैं हाँ सदा बुलनहार. I falter, and my mind is overtaken by so many negative thoughts. Then these thoughts command my first reaction to situations, where my behavior should be reflective of the mission's teachings of patience and tolerance. It is quite the opposite.
Which is exactly why Sadguru Mata Sudiksha ji Maharaj is tirelessly working and guiding us to always choose the righteous path. As a Gursikh, it is essential that we follow her teachings sincerely.
That is exactly what I want to do. But anger? It shrouds my thinking sometimes and takes a commanding position in my first response. Now, take this situation for example. I'm driving on a busy road, going all good, and suddenly, bam! Someone hits my car. The first thing that will come to my mind is, oh my god, with no fault of mine, now I have to take on an additional expense, spend time to get this repaired and whatnot. In such a situation, what do you think I would do? Just look at the damage, smile, and come back home? Nah, I would rather get out of my car and ask the other driver to compensate for my damage. If that involves getting into an argument, then so be it. I have to have my damage repaired, and that would mean an expense for something I didn't cause. The other person should pay for it.
I see your point, Rahul ji. But would you rather not first find out if anyone is hurt? If not, then assess the damage and discuss it politely to get what is justified. Why do you have to get justice on the spot?
Yeah, I'll check on my co-passengers, but this other guy has already spoiled my day. My fuse is now shorted, and anger is now my prime driver, forcing me to retaliate. I use compensation now as an excuse just to vent out my anger.
Yes, I totally understand your point, Rahul ji. You should be compensated for the damage that isn't your fault. But don't you think your approach would be different if the other driver is a good friend or a family member of yours? What if it was me? Would you still be that much irritated? Be ready to argue on the road and make a scene out of it?
Abhay ji, if it's you who hits my car, I'll charge double.
Anything for you, Rahul ji, anything.
जो पिछला टूटा है ना, I'll even add that to your bill. Moreover, I won't even get angry as I'm getting double the compensation.
Double for sure, Rahul ji, double for sure.
Now coming back to your question, if it was someone else I know, I'll tailor my response to suit that person.
Exactly, Rahul ji. That is my point. The accident has already happened. The damage is already there and will need to be fixed. So, is your response of venting out your irritation and anger doing any good to you? And you just said your response could have been tailored. Don't you think you are fixing a wrong with another wrong?
I'm not sure. पता नहीं मैं कर रहा हूँ या नहीं कर रहा हूँ. I can't really say.
Honestly, listening to this conversation has got me thinking about the psychology behind this. Why do we often tend to respond to a so-called wrong action with another wrong action?
Absolutely, Bhavya ji. I was thinking the exact same thing. Their conversation certainly brings that question to light. I mean, I'm no expert, but this is a question that I often think about. Why do people tend to act in such a fashion?
Like you said, Etisha ji, I too am no expert. But from my personal experiences, I can say that one key reason behind such actions is our tendency to succumb to our emotions. We react to situations with anger and retaliation without even thinking.
That is so true, Abhay ji. Our emotions do tend to distort our judgment and shape our responses, not always for the better though. And frankly, this is not just applicable on a personal level, but even in a professional sense. For instance, if we think about the medical profession, it is suggested that doctors should not operate on any member of their kin. And this is simply because, often in these scenarios, their professional decisions could be clouded by their emotional attachment to the person.
That's right. Even I am no stranger to such situations. I too have reacted unpleasantly to others in retaliation for their actions. I can't even keep that count, Etisha ji.
Yeah, and at that time, Bhavya ji, you probably feel a sense of temporary satisfaction, a sense of justification that what you did was right. And this is no foreign concept to us. This tendency to fight fire with fire is deeply rooted in our human nature. When we feel wronged, it's almost instinctive to want to restore a sense of balance, maybe even tip the scales in our favor. And this is despite knowing deep down that a more composed response might serve us better. We often find ourselves itching to take a nosedive with our internal so-called retaliation reflex. And before we know it, we're caught in the whirlwind trying to put out the same fire with an even bigger flame.
Well, when we look at this tendency to retaliate in the grand scope of things, the whole fight fire with fire approach can actually serve as a coping mechanism for some people. It's a way to channel all that frustration, anger, or hurt into a provocative action, even if that action might not be the most constructive in the long run. Ironically, it's almost like a defense mechanism for our emotions, a way to protect ourselves from feeling vulnerable.
So it ultimately becomes a band-aid fix, a short-term fix that often leaves us needing more of the same, more retaliation, more validation, more reaction. And what is this all for? Just to keep the emotional blaze at bay?
To be honest, while in the heat of the moment, it feels like the right thing to do, like we're avenging our honor, but that feeling doesn't last very long. As the dust settles and we look back at our not-so-zen reactions, there's a pang of realization that maybe, just maybe, we could have taken a more graceful route.
I get what you're saying, Etisha ji and Bhavya ji, but don't you think we are meant to experience our emotions? After all, emotions are an essential part of us, just like the colors on an artist's palette. They give our experiences depth and richness.
Agreed. But emotions used with impulse alone do not give depth and richness. Rather, in the long term, it causes sadness, stress, and ultimately dissatisfaction. On the other hand, adversity can become an opportunity if wisdom is maintained along with emotions.
And how can we forget the biggest example that has been in front of us for all these years? When Baba Gurbachan Singh Ji gave supreme sacrifice in 1980. A 26-year-old young man, Baba Hardev Singh Ji Maharaj, he had just lost his guru, the leader of the mission, his dear father. He was faced with an extremely difficult task of guiding thousands of grieving hearts. He set an example for generations to come. Firstly, he maintained his own composure and then ensured that everyone remained united, stayed calm, and did not disturb peace. He showed such greatness at that time, giving the world an amazing example of leadership, peace, and gave the direction human blood should flow in veins and not in drains.
Oh, is this why the Nirankari mission is a leading organization for blood donation in India and abroad?
Indeed it is, Devaji. Satguru Baba Hardev Singh Ji Maharaj certainly was the epitome of love. He upheld the ideals of truth, peace, tolerance, and non-violence throughout his life.
Okay, so how do I bring this into practice? How do I use emotions and wisdom together? At home, with my near and dear ones, I imbibe patience and love. With my kids, even for basic household things, I have to repeat the same directions hundreds of times, but I get no results. Yet, I try to remain calm and composed. How do I extend this behavior to everyone?
That is so relatable, Rahul ji. Once, I discussed a similar topic with another saint on how to control anger and immediate response. He shared his own formula. He said he would rush in front of a mirror and make all angry faces. Most of the time, when he saw himself in the mirror, he looked so funny that all his anger just vanished. Now, this may not work for all of us, but definitely, taking a short pause at that time may help. This act of stepping back allows for a cooling period, often leading to a natural calming of the situation. It provides us with mental space to respond more thoughtfully and constructively. What do you think, Bhavya ji?
That's an interesting one and definitely is an action we can take. To step back, pause for a moment and then respond. At the same time, how about bringing in a habit of practicing forgiveness? For example, we take so many photos with our mobile phones every day and then delete the ones that we don't find pleasing. But what about the pictures that we take with our heart and mind? The scarring we feel after an unhappy situation. We keep that with us forever. Deep down, we retain those negative thoughts against people who were involved in those situations. We don't forget them. As Satguru Baba Hardev Singh Ji Maharaj also said, Pani par lakeer, patthar par nahi. If we forgive the other person, imagine the volume of negative thoughts that will go away and how lighter we will feel.
It is getting even clearer to me now. I am so glad I came here today.
Indeed, Diva. When we started this conversation, I had so many thoughts in my mind, but it is all so much more clear now. Thank you, Mataji, and thank you, Etisha, Bhavya, and Abhay ji, for clarifying.
Certainly, Rahulji. Thanks to this conversation, we all got to revise the mission's teachings. I know that I will try my best to take a pause and not let my emotions get a hold of me.
I'll make a resolution that I'll not get angry over small things. Diva, what about you?
Papa, I'll not highlight others' mistakes to belittle mine.
That's wonderful, Diva. And I've decided to respond with a positive reaction to negative emotion.
With all these promises, let us keep reminding ourselves that two wrongs
Do not make a right.
Thank you all for being a part of our podcast family and tuning into another enlightening episode. On a finishing note, let's end with a touch of inspiration and delve into a beautiful poem by Kuldeep ji. But remember, our journey together doesn't end here. So until next time, stay curious, keep exploring, and keep these conversations alive.
Nirankari.
ਭਾਵੇਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਲਤੀ ਤੇ ਦਿਲ ਤੋਂ ਪਛਤਾਉਂਦੇ ਆਂ ਪਰ ਉਸੇ ਗਲਤੀ ਨੂੰ ਵਾਰ-ਵਾਰ ਦੁਹਰਾਉਂਦੇ ਆਂ ਕੱਲ ਭਲਾ ਕੀ ਸੁਧਰੇਗਾ ਜੇ ਸੁਧਰੇ ਅੱਜ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਖ ਬੁਝਾਈਏ ਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਬੁਝਦੀ ਅੱਗ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਗ ਨਹੀਂ ਅੱਖ ਦਾ ਬਦਲਾ ਅੱਖ ਦੇ ਦਿਸਦੇ ਸਾਫ਼ ਨਤੀਜੇ ਨੇ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਰਾਹ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪ ਹੀ ਕੰਡੇ ਬੀਜੇ ਨੇ ਐਨਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਤੇ ਆਇਆ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਰੱਜ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਖ ਬੁਝਾਈਏ ਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਬੁਝਦੀ ਅੱਗ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਗ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਨ ਦਾ ਕੀ ਏ ਇਸ ਦਾ ਬਿਨ ਤਕਰਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਰਦਾ ਸੋਚੋ ਦੂਜੇ ਦੀ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਕੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਠੀਕ ਵੀ ਆਂ ਜੇ ਮੰਨ ਲਈ ਗਲਤੀ ਕੋਈ ਹਰਜ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਖ ਬੁਝਾਈਏ ਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਬੁਝਦੀ ਅੱਗ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਗ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੁੱਕਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹਰ ਮਸਲੇ ਦਾ ਹੱਲ ਪਿਆਰ ਦਾ ਝਰਨਾ ਏ ਇਹ ਹੱਲ ਸਦਾ ਹੀ ਮੁਰਸ਼ਦ ਨੇ ਕਰਿਆ ਤੇ ਕਰਨਾ ਏ ਜੋ ਬਖਸ਼ੇ ਪੂੰਜੀ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਉਹ ਕੋਈ ਸਕਦਾ ਠੱਗ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਖ ਬੁਝਾਈਏ ਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਬੁਝਦੀ ਅੱਗ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਗ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿੰਜ ਸਮਝਾਈਏ ਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਬੁਝਦੀ ਅੱਗ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਗ ਨਹੀਂ